Hello, I'm Mr. McQuay, and we're going to talk about the bandsaw today. We're going to go over the safety so that when you're using it, you can be as safe as possible. First thing you need to know is that for each machine there are placards near the machine. These have the safety rules on them, and you should read through them before you start. If you're unsure or unfamiliar with the machine, you should talk to the instructor and make sure that you are clear and understand exactly what you're going to be doing. For any of these machines, you do need eye protection, and since I have glasses on, I'm going to be using goggles. You have to have goggles or safety glasses on when you use any of these machines. The other thing that you have to be aware of is your clothing. You cannot have clothing that is loose, baggy, sweatshirts that the sleeves are hanging down, the sweatshirt strings hanging down, bracelets that are hanging, loose rings, loose necklaces. You have to have all that stuff off so that it can't be caught in the blade and pull you in. You have to check to make sure that the guards are all in place and that the machine is going to be ready. This one has one guard right by the blade, and it is secure and in place. This is called a bandsaw because the blade is actually one continuous band and goes all the way around in a circle and cuts on its downstroke. So when this is turned on, the blade just spins and cuts your piece of wood as it turns. There's no reason that you should have to open up or adjust the blade itself, but you will need to adjust the blade guide stop. If you're cutting a piece of wood such as this with your pattern on it, you need to adjust the blade so that it is 1/8 of an inch from your work. The blade guide is 1/8 inch from your work. There is a knob on the back side of the bandsaw that you loosen, and you can raise or lower the bandsaw guide stop. You can see if it was adjusted this high, we have so much blade exposed that it is much more dangerous. So you want to have that right by your work, 1/8, which is about the size of a pencil lead. Once I have that done, I am ready to cut. A couple more things that you need to be aware of is that the 2-inch rule applies to all the machines in the wood lab. You cannot have your hand or fingers or anything closer than 2 inches to the blade. On this machine, it is marked with red, so you do not want to go inside of that with your fingers. If you have material that comes off of your wood and sits in that area and you need to take that away, you can use a safety stick or a push stick and push that out of the way so that you can clear the table. The next thing you need to know is how to turn the machine on. All the machines will have a similar button arrangement where you have a start, stop, and emergency stop. You should know that when you press the emergency stop, to reset it, you twist it and it will pop out. You also need to know that when you press the emergency stop or the stop, the bandsaw does not stop immediately. The motor does turn off, but the blades do continue to turn for a few seconds. We'll demonstrate that right now. The bandsaw is turned on. I hit the emergency stop. The blade continues to turn and spin, and there it just stopped. You cannot walk away from the bandsaw until the blade completely stops. Even if there are people in line, you need to turn the machine off, wait till it stops to allow the next person to use it. In most of the labs that you'll be working, there will also be marks on the floor designating the safe area. You, as the operator of the machine, are the only person allowed in that safe area. Everyone else has to remain outside of the marks. That gives you enough room to work and not have to worry about someone bumping you and making you make a mistake. Now I'm going to show you how to make some cuts. And what you should be aware of is that on something like this, these curves, the bandsaw can cut curves. but we need to make some relief cuts and where we're going to make them. And a relief cut is just a place for the blade to give it some room. And what we're going to do is mark where we think the blade will pinch on a curve or an angle when we're cutting. So I'm going to make a relief cut here, 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 and here. For this side, probably one there, one there. You can't have too many. It just makes it easier for the blade so that it doesn't pinch. When you do a relief cut, you're going to cut straight in and straight out. You don't want to turn, because if you turn the board, you're going to pinch the blade, and you could break the blade, and that would not be a good thing. So go straight in and straight out. After the relief cuts are done, it will be much easier to make our cuts and to make the curves. I'll demonstrate the relief cuts, and then we'll do some curves. Before I start, I'm going to get my safety glasses on. You have to be wearing your safety glasses. Okay, I'm going to stand in front, check the guide one more time, turn the machine on. My hands are 2 inches away, and I'm going to go straight in, straight out. Don't worry if you get off of your line on the relief cut. That's okay. Stop when you get to the spot where your actual pattern is. I'll do a couple more. This is just to give you the idea, and then we'll do some curves. Okay. I'm going to shut the machine off for a second. Let it stop. When we do a curve, we're going to come in and curve around, and this piece will fall off. Don't worry about that. That's okay. The wood will push it out of the way. Don't reach in to move that scrap that fell off. Just leave it alone. It will be fine. Now, when you're doing a curve, you actually have to push and turn. You cannot just turn without pushing the board in. Otherwise, you will pinch the blade and it will snap. If it feels tight or doesn't feel right, stop. When you're doing a curve, you cannot just pull the board back if you make a mistake. If you make a mistake, shut the machine off, wait till it stops, then pull it back. If you pull it back with the machine on, there's a chance that you'll pull that blade off of those pulleys. And I showed you it goes around in a circle, and if you pull the blade back, it can pull it off of the pulley, and it won't work right, and that can be dangerous. All right, I'm going to make the curve cut. My fingers are at least 2 inches away. I'm going to push and turn at the same time. You heard it slow down a little bit, and that meant that I was trying to turn it just a little too sharp. Now I'll make a next cut. And you can see the little pieces coming off of the board and laying on the table. They're fine. Unless they get wedged in the guide, you can just leave those there. If they do get wedged in and you can't push your board in, you turn the machine off. Use your push stick to move those. If you can't use your push stick to move them, come get your instructor. And we just keep working like that. Now, if I miss a little spot like that, I can come back and do that again. I don't want to try pulling the blade backwards though. And you just keep going. I probably want to do some more relief cuts and just work my way right around. I'm going to shut the machine off, wait till it completely stops before I walk away. I'm going to get rid of these little scraps using the stick so I don't have to put my hand closer than 2 inches. Now I can take my scraps, put them in the scrap bin, take my project, and go on to the next step.